This is the Leo Climaco podcast.
Welcome to the Leo Climaco podcast. I'm your host, Leo. Today, we have a very special guest, my friend, Jordan Goldman. Hi, Jordan. Welcome to the Leo Climaco podcast. How are you?
Hey, Leo. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. I am so excited to finally get to speak to you. I know we canceled a few times. We were playing phone tag. Now we finally made it work, and I apologize for the mix-up.
No, I'm glad to be here. It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes good things take some time.
I agree. Where are you? I see your background. I see the beautiful sky behind you.
Yeah. I'm out of Queens right now. That's currently where I'm living. So this is just my apartment view. I'm on the 32nd floor. It's actually a great view.
That's amazing. Where in Queens are you?
Floral Park?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very
No,
nice.
it's great.
I grew up in Sunnyside.
Yeah, I know. You're a Queens boy.
I'm a Queens boy. Yeah, I'm now in South Florida, but originally a Queens boy.
I know. You moved to the sunny state.
I did. I love New York, but it got to a point where I was like, I needed a change, right? I was tired of the cold. I needed that warm weather on my skin, so it worked out pretty well.
I know, I hear you. Well, now it's starting to get colder out, so you know what it's like waking up. It's winter time. It's dark when you wake up. It's dark when you go to bed.
Yes.
It's dark at like 5 o'clock.
It can be a little depressing.
It could, but it's grind time. Like winter time in New York, it's grind time. Like summer's over, everyone just puts their heads down, starts to work. Because there's not much else to do. You can't go outside.
Time to make that money.
Exactly.
So speaking of money, let's start off by who is Jordan? What do you do? Speak a little bit,
of course.
About you and your company and what made you a great success story.
Great. I'd love to. So I'm a CPA. I'm an accountant. My experience is really, I started off at those mid-sized, large CPA firms, Ernst & Young, Baker Tilly, Cohn Resnick. And right around the pandemic time, before the pandemic though, I had enough of really taking orders, had enough of that corporate world.
I know how that feels.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. We all do.
No.
So I was just like, you know what? It's enough. It's time to do something else. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather came to this country with nothing. He built a business around retail, turned into real estate. And then my father went into it. So I was always hearing the business side. I grew up in that world. I used to go to work with my dad and my grandfather. I was like, oh, I loved it. Even now they make me go count inventory in the back room every year, So I grew up around that world. I took what they were always complaining about with their accountants. I took, what I didn't like about the corporate world, and I married them, and I created Prime Ledger, which is, a back office accounting firm where we do anything from external controller, CFO, bookkeeping, financial reporting, software implementation, software management, anything related to your back office. We do that. We basically give those small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, a place where they could feel comfortable, with their back office accounting, right? Because that's where a lot of businesses struggle. A lot of business owners are, and stop me if I'm talking too much, but a lot of business owners you find, they're really good at what they do, right? They're successful in their own way.
Yeah.
They build wealth, they build businesses, sometimes many times over. But what a lot of times they struggle with is just keeping track of their finances, understanding where their profits are coming from, understanding where their big expenses are coming from. Understanding how to read a financial statement, that's tough for a lot of people too.
They're too busy growing the business. Yeah. They don't have time to deal with all that.
Exactly, and they shouldn't be, right? That's not what their job is. That's not what their role is. Their role is to go out and get new business, grow the company, explore new opportunities. But to do that, they need to look back and say, okay, where am I making money? Where am I not making money? Where can I cut things? How can I grow? And that's where my team and I come into play.
So just a disclaimer, Jordan and Prime Ledger are my CPA, my accountant, and my bookkeeper. Just so you guys know, just so we're clear, right? I think Jordan's an amazing guy.
Leo.
I had to get him on the podcast and pick his brain. So just a
thank you. I appreciate the shout out. Leo is also one of my favorite clients. He's a great guy all around, great business owner, and just a great human being in general.
Thank you, sir.
I wish you would come to New York more.
I know. I was there. I was there in May, and then I was there in September for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
I might
Quick
be
trip.
going back in January. I'll let you know. for sure.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
could go out. You ever go to Astoria Seafood? Sorry, a little tangent.
Oh, I love that place. That place is
Just
good.
amazing. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite places. We'll go there.
Jordan, were you always a numbers guy? Who was Jordan in high school?
Oh man, Jordan in high school was kind of an awkward guy, honestly. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5". I'm just a giant person. So I was a little awkward.
I
I
share
played
that. I'm
basketball.
also 6'5".
Yeah. No, so I was like growing up, I was kind of an awkward person. I played basketball, sort of came into my own. In college, I was actually
Hold on,
pre-med
hold on,
for a
hold
couple of
on.
years.
Where did you play basketball? Let's
I went
stop.
to I went to a Jewish private school, man. So like
Okay, which one?
North Shore Hebrew Academy out in
I
Long
know North
Island.
Shore. Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah. So not a lot of competition over there. I was still always the biggest guy. But that's where I played basketball. Got some friends from there. Became a little bit less awkward, a little bit more into myself. And then, of course, college, you flourished a little bit.
For
And
sure.
right after that, I lived in Manhattan for, 9, 10 years with a lot of my friends, just running around the city, getting the work experience. And then, that's where I was. So I wasn't always a numbers guy. In college, I was actually pre-med for my first 2 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow. What happened?
yeah, I just realized I didn't want to be in school forever. I have some good friends that are still in school.
Really?
And now we're like 10 years out of college already, 10 plus. So,
Wow. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
lot of schooling.
it's a lot
A
of
lot of money,
school.
too.
Oh, man. Yeah, they're just pouring it in. But, like eventually they'll get paid. They'll get paid. They'll get paid. They'll get paid.
They're
But I
even
mean, I just
calling you
wasn't into
eventually
it.
to come do their books.
They said that already. They said that I'm their guy. No, I'm their guy.
Awesome.
But so that's really how it happened. And I grew up, like I said, my father was an entrepreneur, my grandfather. So I grew up in that game. So I understood it. And it was an easy pivot to me where I was like, you know what? I can't really see myself opening up bodies forever and not getting paid for another 10, 12 years. So I made a move. I switched to business. I had a great accounting teacher at SUNY Albany. And, the rest is history. Now I'm here.
What do you think gave you that drive, that willpower to make the change from corporate to being an entrepreneur? Do you think it was the backing of your parents, coming from an entrepreneurial family? Do you think it was just being fed up with a 9 to 5 or a combination of both?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know what? I think it was a healthy combination of both. Really, how it happened is I was working at my job full time, and then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I am opening up this new business. Can you help me run the books for it?" Right? He was well backed, funded, so I was like, "Sure." You know what? I've never done it before, but let's see if I could do it. Um, so I was doing
As
it,
a
and I was
side
like,
job, right? As a side
"Yeah,"
gig.
as a
Right.
side, just to help out my friend. I wasn't even charging
For
him.
sure. Right.
I was just like, let's see if I even like this. I've never done it before, so I wasn't going to charge him for something I'd never done. And then, I was like, I like this a lot more than my job. And I'm not even getting paid right now. So I think I got into an argument with one of my managers when I was working, and I was like, this is enough.
Right.
I don't need this. I can do it on my own. Then the pandemic hit, so I was working from home a lot, and I was like, the timing is all falling out for me.
Yeah.
Like I had less expenses. I moved out of the city because it was the pandemic. I was really starting to like this a lot more. So I was like, why not? Just go all in. And that's what happened. It's been great ever since. I meet guys like you. I meet a lot of other people. It's really cool to see how a lot of different businesses operate. You could have a lot of different businesses sort of doing the same thing. Like take e-commerce, for example, or take,
Right.
sorry, my AirPod fell out.
No,
Or
you're
take
good.
coaching, for example. You have so many different people doing a lot of the same thing, but everyone does it a little bit differently. Everyone sells differently. Everyone pays people differently. Everyone has different processes, workflows. So, I consider myself a doctor of accounting, a doctor of businesses, because every patient, as in a doctor, you have to diagnose everyone differently, right? Just because two people have a cold doesn't mean you're going to prescribe them the same medicine. So it's the same thing like businesses. No two businesses are alike. You have to, analyze, dissect, look at each one of them. So that's what I really like, and that's what I really enjoy. And then helping business owners out, taking a lot of that financial burden away from them, knowing that they're being taken care of.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about being an accountant? I think you just touched upon that. I want you to go a little bit further on it. Exactly what gives you the satisfaction?
We're gonna get deep here. I like
Get
it.
it deep.
I mean, it's hard to say, right? There's a lot. I like, one of the things I love doing is speaking to people like you. Going on podcasts, talking to people at conferences, right? Just the people game of it, right? Getting to know other people, getting to see how they tick, how their businesses tick. But really, at the end of the day, it's when I get messages from my clients or from their employees, even saying, thank you so much. Like you took away 8 hours of my workload a week by just automating one process, or telling the clients, I never had books prepared like this before. I never saw my financial statements look like this. I never saw these KPIs. This is
Right.
great, and then I see them making more money or cutting expenses that they don't really need. So they're able to take home more money at the end of the day. Um, it's just doing that, it makes me feel more validated in a selfish way, right? Because I'm like, okay, I'm
Right.
doing something real. I'm doing something good. I'm helping people. My work matters. To talk about more about my public accounting game, right? I was in audit. I don't know if you know much about audit, but essentially what it is looking back, looking historically, and just giving your
Looking
stamp
at
of
the books,
approval.
right? Going through the
Yeah,
books.
exactly. You're going through the books. You're just like testing a lot, saying, okay, is what they say actually what happened? That's what an audit is, right? But it's a lot of process, a lot of procedures. It's
Is,
extremely
is,
dry.
is what they say actually what happened?
Yeah.
90% of the time, it's probably not.
No, exactly. It's not. But just digging in, it's so much writing, it's so much documentation, it's just a lot of admin work. It was very unfulfilling to me. And,
Yeah.
as soon as I started that business, as soon as I started working with that friend, I felt more fulfilled already. Like because I was helping him out.
Right.
So that alone made the huge difference. That's when that clicked for me. That's when I was like, I was never. That's I switched from firms a lot when I started out, and I never really understood why I was never fully happy until I started Prime Ledger, and I was like,
Because you're
that's
probably
why.
bored. You're probably bored.
Yeah, I was bored. But more than that, I was unsatisfied. Like
Yeah.
I was like, can I do this my whole life? Can I just like be another cog in the wheel? Because I was working for big firms, so like these big firms pay thousands, millions of dollars to get an audit done. I'm just a number, not a real person, right?
Right.
Um,
No, I
and I
know
was just like,
exactly what you mean.
yeah, man. So yeah, exactly. So I couldn't deal with
Yeah. No, I
it,
used to work.
honestly.
Just like you, I come from corporate America, and I used to work in these big insurance companies, these big hedge funds, doing IT for them. I was the IT guy, right? So
Oh,
I
okay.
worked very closely with the finance team because you guys have major computer problems always. Your computer's always broken. There's always something not working in the accounting department. So I used to live there, but I
Oh
know
my gosh.
exactly what you mean, and I felt that pressure of not wanting to be here, not being satisfied, not being fulfilled. Wanting to go create, wanting to go do something on my own. So I share that.
No, and I appreciate that. I think a lot of people in our position share that. I think it's also really hard to start a business without having that corporate background. And I'm not saying it's impossible, right? A lot of people do it, and a lot of people
Right,
are very
right. But
successful
it
with it.
helps a lot.
But it helps because it gives you that structure. It teaches you what the structure is. So as much
Exactly.
as like I hated it, I definitely think it's a big part of me and like why my business is successful.
For
It's because I
sure.
was able to implement and take away a lot of the things that I learned when I was doing that type of work and bring it into like that structure here.
Right.
Um, it just helps
You
you keep a
take
little bit
those
organized.
skills and transfer it onto yourself.
Right, exactly. And instilled onto like my staff, the employees. I have my partner Jess, who's amazing, who also worked with me. So she was able to bring that her skills
I
also.
love
So I mean,
Jess.
like,
She's the
yeah,
best.
she's great. I know she is. She's amazing. We're really lucky to have her. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of the gist of it. I think that it's important that everyone just takes their experience and, although they're not always all positives, if you bring the positives with you, that's
Right.
really a recipe for success.
I agree. Did Jess ever tell you that I tried to take her away from you?
Yeah, you're not the only one though. You're not the only
I sent her
person.
an email once and I'm like, are you happy with Jordan? I'm like, I'd love to hire you. And she goes, well, I'm a partner here. I go, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Honestly, you're not the only one.
I bet. I
A lot
bet.
of
And
our
she's
clients
so good.
have tried
But
to
she's
offer
so
Jess full
loyal
time
to you,
roles.
Jordan. She ain't going nowhere.
Well, we're partners,
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm just as loyal to her. we're really good friends. I mean, I've met Jess when we were at Baker Tilly many years ago at this point. She was a bridesmaid in our wedding for
That's
my
awesome.
wife. She's very good friends with her. So, I mean, like, it's a really great partnership. And, I couldn't be more thankful to have Jess. But that's also another thing,
Right.
you work with your wife also. So it's important to have those partnerships, someone you could
100%.
trust, someone you could grow the business with, someone that you could delegate and hand things off to, where you
Exactly.
each take a share of the business, right? You each do what you do best
Right.
and grow it together. And that's what's really nice.
And knowing a little bit of both of you, I can see how you guys really complement each other very well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, she's going to watch this right after whenever it goes
I
live.
bet
So
she is. Better.
I know. She's excited. So I'm sure she's going to love this little segment.
It's great.
No, I know. It is.
Jordan, share with the people one of your major setbacks or failures.
Yeah,
Something that you had to overcome and break through.
that's great. That's a good question. So it's really from the start, right? I started this business with $0. I had my friend. I asked him to charge me a little. I asked to charge him a little bit once I left, right? And I was just pure hustling. I put some money into the business, upfront capital of my own money. Luckily the business has zero debt, which is something I'm pretty proud of.
That's great.
I've been able to grow without it. Yeah. So the biggest struggle was just getting clients, getting traction. How do I get business, right? How do I put my name out there? How do people learn about me? That was my biggest struggle. And I was struggling for a while because I was really lost on how to do this, especially in the beginning. You're like, okay, I have one person. This is what I want to do. But how do I make this a sustainable thing? Like, how can I have a life doing this?
Right.
And I think that was part of and it was really a mindset thing, as you know, right? That's really where the struggle is.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really more on the business side, because if you could overcome it with the mindset, the business will come. Right. So that was my biggest thing, is just getting to the mindset, be like, okay, I'm on my own now. I'm not getting a steady paycheck anymore. Right. But my path is my own. My success is my own. My failures are my own. And, as you know, starting a business, there's a big learning curve, right? There's a lot of things that you don't do right.
There's so much you don't know,
Right.
And, like I tell my clients, make as many mistakes as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Kind of a little counterintuitive, but you want to get it out the way, right? You want to know what you don't know quickly so you can learn and move on.
Mistakes are the best way to grow and learn.
I agree.
Because if you're doing everything right, you're going to think you're unstoppable. I mean, good for you if you could do everything right, but
rare. It's
rare.
Right?
Exactly. Special breed of a person.
Right. And then you get to a place where you get punched in the face and you're not sure what to do.
Right. And just getting back up, right? Get knocked down 9 times, come back up 10, right? So that's really what it is. I mean,
100%.
I think that was part of the biggest setbacks, was really when I started off. And then, along the line, business got stale. You had COVID. COVID was actually good for the business because that's when a lot of people became more comfortable for remote work.
Isn't it crazy how COVID was good for so many businesses? It destroyed so many. But for so many others, it was so good. It's so crazy how that happened.
I know. A lot of businesses were killed. A lot, unfortunately.
But a lot multiplied and got much, much bigger.
Yeah, exactly. It's about capitalizing on opportunities. Some were able to do that, and some were, stubborn, didn't want to change. So, it happens. Hopefully everyone landed on their feet at this point. I know there's been some government programs to help people out like that.
Right.
But everyone's just on their own path, and it's really just making the most of what you learned, right? Like, I start every day with the carpe diem mindset, right? Like, seize the day. That's what we got to do. We're from New York, right? It's hustle. It's a hustle culture. Every day's a hustle. Whether you're dealing with your clients, trying to get new business, working with your staff. You're hustling, you're in the weeds, you're trying to grow, you're trying to get better, and you want to bring everyone around you with you, right? That's the way to do it. Team environment, you can't do it alone. That's something I learned also, right? Like we were talking about Jess. One of the best things I did was bringing Jess on. I was by myself, I was doing well, but
the way to fail is to do it alone.
Yeah, you need someone to bounce ideas off of, whether it's a mentor, a coach, a partner, just someone you could trust and confide in. I think it's so important. And,
a lot of people don't realize and take for granted how important a coach is and a mentor,
Yeah.
right? They say that to start off, you need a coach, someone there for you every single day. And once you get into 3 to 5 years of your business, you need a mentor, someone that you can bounce ideas off every so often, someone that's not
Right.
there granularly every single day. So, I mean, it's so important to have someone on your corner that,
Right.
making sure that
100%.
making sure that your cuts are good, making sure that you can see properly there, making sure that you can walk a straight line.
Exactly. And I think what a lot of people struggle with is also finding the right person. Not everyone has a Leo Climaco in their life. So,
Appreciate that.
I think it's hard for a lot of people because, especially in what I do, I see a lot of people get bad business advice,
Yeah.
whether it's on the tax or accounting side or marketing or, operational growth, whatever it is, you see a lot of people struggle because they've gotten bad advice. So I think that's a trust issue and maybe an educational issue is that people have to understand, okay, can I trust this person? Have maybe like doing a little bit of research, right? Speaking to referrals, I, never work with someone. I never bring someone onto my team without knowing who they worked with in the past, referrals, their background, right? Making sure that they're a good person, that someone you want to have on your team, someone that you could trust. And then, of course, more importantly, someone that your clients could trust. So I think that's really important.
What do you guys do to stand out? What do you do marketing wise? Are you guys mostly referral based? Are you guys ad based? What do you do to set yourself apart from other agencies?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something that, is always continuously being worked on, right? Because it's marketing. It's never done. You always got to keep doing it. Originally, I was like posting ads. I'm still doing a little bit of posting ads. I try to attend as many.
Facebook,
Yeah,
Google.
not really Instagram. A lot of LinkedIn, a lot of Google.
LinkedIn, okay.
Because that's where like my clients really are. That's where they live. Those CEOs, CFOs type of people. And then going to a lot of like in-person events, right? Because I'm a friendly guy. I'm a big guy. I'm a presence.
Sure are.
So I think that's important for people to meet the person, right? To see who they're doing business with, especially in terms of accounting. There's something that I like to call financial intimacy, right?
Personal.
Where it's very personal. Even if it's just the business, it's your money, it's your business, right? It's how you're spending things, right? People aren't so quick to like open their books to people. So if they get to know me, if they get to know Jess, they'll see that we always have the business owner, the business at heart, right? We only want the best for you. We're never trying to pull one over on anyone. That's not good business. That's just not a good person to do. I'm an accountant.
You won't keep clients that way.
You don't keep clients that way, right? If you're trying to do a money grab and all that.
Right.
So just being a good person, I really try to be as transparent as I can with someone. If we don't know someone, we'll say, hey, I don't know. Let me talk to someone. Let me get back to you. Right. Like that's the way to do it. If we just say, oh, here's the answer and it's not right, that doesn't do you any good. That doesn't do me any good. That just, it doesn't help anyone. At the end of the day, it'll probably make me do more work.
Facts.
So exactly. So that's not really what I'm about. I think that's something that the clients really appreciate is that of how transparent we are. So, that's one of the things I like to pride myself on.
That's beautiful. Tell me, where do you want to take this company? Where do you see it in 5 years?
Oh, that's a great question too. I want to see it, through the stratosphere. I want Prime Ledger to be as successful as it can be. I will keep pushing every day, but, I don't plan on stopping. I want to keep growing. I want to keep helping more people. I want to keep getting more clients. I want to keep expanding my team. I want to do whatever I need to do to keep growing this. I want to have something that's else motivating me is, I have a son now. He's 9 months old. So that's what's motivating me to keep pushing, to make him have a life.
Big why.
Yeah, exactly. So, I want to keep pushing to give him the life that I want to give him. Hopefully down the line, he'll have some siblings that I want to give the same life to. So I think that's what's really pushing me to keep earning. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful. Give me one nugget, one tip that you've learned about being a dad these past 9 months.
Oh man. Okay. One thing I've learned, it's not that relaxing. No, but it's great. It's amazing. It brings out your childish side in you. I love playing with him. He's 9 months, so he can't really speak, he can't really do much, but he's so cute, and I really like
9 months is
playing with
great. It's like
the
they've
best
already
age.
come into themselves, right? They're not
Yeah,
as awkward anymore. They can burp properly, right? They can
yeah, yeah. They can
talk,
play.
do all
They
that
know who you
nonsense.
are. They recognize
Right.
people, but they're still like very clingy. They still want you all the time, so it's
Yeah.
nice. They still need you for a lot. I mean, I've only have one kid. He's 9 months, so I'm always like, oh, this is the best age. This is the best age. But you don't know. Um, but
I
I don't know. I
have
just think,
I have a
yeah. Go ahead.
4-year-old and I have a 15-month-old.
So what's the best age to you so far?
So far, the 4-year-old. The
The
4-year-old
4 year old's a great age.
is the best because you can talk to them, right? They talk back, and they're very loving and they're very sweet, and they say the darnest things, and they're so
Yeah.
funny. You know what I mean? You can really interact with them in a more human level.
Yeah.
But the 15-month-old is adorable, and he's saying
Yeah.
"Baba, baby, mama," and it's just so cute.
I know. How do the kids act together? Are they good? Is your
Oh,
4 year
they're
old
so
does he get jealous or no?
they're so good. They love each other. They really play around. It's so funny. The little
That's
one
great.
thinks the older one is so funny.
That's
It's
great.
so cute.
I
Yeah, it's
know.
great.
My brother has two kids also, and the youngest one's a girl, the older one. They're like 2.5 years apart.
That's the
And the
best.
young
That's the
yeah,
best.
it's
Two
cute.
and a half years apart's the best.
I know. So the younger one, she always laughs at the older one. Like whatever he does, she just thinks he's ridiculous. But he's 2.5, so he is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. And they
But
learn
it's
so
cute.
fast. Like the younger one learns so fast because they're watching the older one.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
It's like a sponge. It's like a mirror sponge.
There you go. You don't
Learn,
even have to do
absorb.
anything.
Right.
I'm sure your 4 year old could feed the 15-month-old now, take care of him, put him to
Oh, he
bed.
tries
You
to.
don't even need to do anything.
Right. When he was younger, he was trying to feed him stuff he couldn't eat yet. I'm like, calm down. He'll get there.
I know. I know, but they're great. No, honestly, I was definitely nervous about it because, being a business owner, having my own business, doing what we're doing, it's scary being like, because you also want to have time
Sure.
for your kids, right? You're juggling another thing now, right?
Right.
Like you're juggling your business, you have your wife, and now you have another kid.
Right.
And then you also have a social life too. You have your friends,
Right.
you have family, you have a lot of other things that are going on. But now a lot of the time takes the baby, right? Which is great. But I was nervous about it.
Right. And you probably see it this way also, right? Your business is kind of like your first baby, sort of,
Oh
kind
yeah,
of. You know what I mean?
for sure, definitely, definitely. Listen, I take care of that. I take care of my business all the time. I feed it. Make sure. You
Exactly.
know, you got to feed it. You got to take care of it. You got to make
Yeah.
sure that
Change its
everything.
diapers.
Yeah, exactly. Everything. Make sure it has enough rest. Right. Everything.
For
Everything.
sure.
So, you're taking care of another thing now, which I guess helps prepare you a little bit because responsibility. You have staff, you have employees that you have to help take care of.
Right.
So you understand responsibility, um,
For sure.
which is nice. But I mean, nothing prepares you for fatherhood.
Nothing. You just got to
You
do
know,
it.
you
You got to
could
pull
read
that
books, you
Band-Aid
could do
and
this.
do it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could talk to whoever you want. It doesn't matter.
You got to do it. You
It's
really can.
just,
Yeah.
it's true.
It's one of
It's
those things
crazy.
that, like, when my wife was pregnant with our first son, like, people try to tell you and they try to give you all these tips, but you really don't know until that kid comes out and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm a dad. Now this kid's here. I got to make sure he stays breathing.
Exactly. No, it's tough, but it's honestly it's so much fun. He's gonna come home in like an hour, and I'm so excited to see him.
Yes.
We're gonna play. I feed him a little bit. He's just hilarious. He makes me laugh.
It's
You
great.
know, I can't wait for him to start speaking and see what else he's gonna say.
Oh my God. They say the darnest things.
I know
They
it's
really
so
do.
funny.
They
It's
say
so
the
funny.
darndest things. Yeah. My three
Um,
year old, every single day now, he's 3 turning 4 next Monday.
okay. Are you doing
Um,
anything good? Doing a birthday party?
yeah, we're going to Sky Zone. I rented out Sky Zone. It's a big arcade trampoline type place where you can just go jump and
Uh,
bounce. They have basketball courts. It's super cool.
is that more for him or for you?
You know what? It's more for me, but he's gonna love it too.
Yeah.
But every morning now, he comes to my bed between 6:30 and 7 a.m. He wants to open our door and say, "Good morning, Daddy," and just jump on my bed. It's
I
just,
know.
it's part annoying, part cute. I kind of
Yeah.
love it and I kind of hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
You're like, I
like
would love this if it was like an hour later.
right.
Like,
Kids.
come back in an hour. Let's do this again in an hour. Then I'd be more
Exactly.
excited.
Exactly.
No, no,
No, but
I
it's great.
definitely hear you.
It definitely. I think entrepreneurs are built to be parents. I think the
Yeah,
amount of like responsibility that we deal with really gives us a good foundation to be a good parent.
exactly. What's one more thing to take care of, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
But
Let me ask you, how big is your operation? Are you only in New York? Are you national? Do you want to go national?
yeah.
Touch on that a little bit for us.
So because I'm a virtual firm, right? We have clients all over the country. We wanted to keep it national, right? Within the country, within the US. But I have clients in Texas, I have clients in California, name a state, I probably have clients that work there or they have employees that work there. So I touch a little bit of everything. And
That's great.
that doesn't scare me because that's how I built the company
Right.
for that type of way, right? To be virtual. My clients, I try and get everyone to become paperless, because what's the need? It just creates clutter. It just creates
I agree.
disorganization.
Filing
So
cabinets for no reason.
yeah, exactly. Just space. It just takes up space. It's not
Yeah,
necessary.
seriously.
So that's one of the reasons why I think, I'm fine with being national. I do have a lot of my clients in New York, but that's just because that's where I'm from, right? So people
Right.
know
That
me.
makes sense.
That's where my
Right.
contacts are. But when I advertise and I promote, we have clients everywhere. But a lot in New York because that's where I go to networking events. That's where I go to conferences. That's where I go and see people and meet people. So that's where a lot of my referrals come from. But in terms of just my advertising and stuff, that's where my clients from like out of state, out of the
Right.
tri-state area come in. But I love it. It's nice because then you see different perspectives.
Right. Is
Mhm.
there a big learning curve in like these other states and how they do their taxes and their laws and whatnot, or is it mostly the same?
Um, Honestly, at the end of the day, accounting really is accounting. If you have a good understanding, like I'm a CPA, right? So if you have a good understanding, a good grasp of how to do accounting, how to do books,
Right.
you could sort of understand it and figure it out. Of course, every state has different guidance and different regulations and stuff like that, but you could always read into it and look into it. Um, and that research is pretty easily available, or, because I grew up in that accounting world, I have resources I could always ask to or reach out. But in terms of doing accounting, right, it's really more depends on the industry than it does on the different states. So like industries definitely vary from place to place, especially like when you're looking at KPIs and
Right.
analytics and different variables on that way, right? Some businesses have higher payroll to revenue ratios where others have lower ones. You have your e-commerce and your sales. Those marketing budgets are huge
They are.
compared to, I don't know, like a recruiter, for example, right?
Right.
They don't really have as many marketing budgets. A lot of that is referral and relationships. So it really depends on the industry and like the type of KPIs that you're looking at. That's really where you're like the strategy and the advice. That's really where the skill set
So that's
of
really
your
more
accountant comes into
important
play.
than the actual state and their laws and whatnot. It's actually interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I always look at the industry. Another thing that's really important to me is, like how many transactions, how much business are they doing, right? Or do they have a bunch of little micro transactions, or are they getting, one or two a month of, 50, 70, 100, 200K,
Right. Right.
right? So all that is factors that I do when I'm doing like the books for someone, right? And seeing where they go on their profit and loss, their balance sheets, right? We're doing accrual versus cash, right? How are you going to look at the books? How does the business owner need to analyze his books? What's the best way for him to look at it?
Got it. Jordan,
Yeah.
give us a tip, uh, an accounting tip for an entrepreneur that's starting off. What should they try to be aware of as they're growing their company?
That's a great question. The one thing I say is, and I'm sure you could agree with this, is you can't do it by yourself, right? Ask for help. It doesn't have to cost a lot. It never hurts to have a conversation. Even my discovery calls, right? They do them for free. You can get a lot of advice from them, but then you remember me down the line when you grow a little bit bigger and you could hire me,
Right.
right? But I never turned down a phone call just get some advice, right? Maybe how do I open up my books, right? What bank should I even use, right? How do I collect money? How do I send out invoices?
Right.
Should I hire this person or should I focus on this? I think just, having that coach, that mentor, that someone that you can rely on. I would say that just the biggest piece of advice I could say is don't do it alone.
That's great. I
You
love it.
know,
Yeah.
thank you. And I'm sure you as a coach and,
No, I agree
everything that you're doing
100%.
now,
I
you
agree
probably,
100%. Do not do it alone. First of all, you don't want to do it alone. It's boring doing it alone, right?
it's also lonely.
It's very lonely. It's very lonely. This entrepreneur journey is a lonely journey to begin with, right? Because
Right.
not many understand, not many want to do it. So it's a lot on you to begin with, right? And it's a lot easier if you do it to share that load.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the biggest advice. I think if you start off like that, I think you're already on the more of a path to success than if you were doing it by yourself, right? Because you need someone to tell you, "Hey, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about it this way?" Like that's a really good idea, but maybe just tweak it, right? Maybe just do it like this. And then you're like, "You know what? That makes sense. That
Sure.
that makes sense." So, and that happened to me, right? I tried to do things myself. I could be a stubborn guy, like a lot of people. So sometimes you always think, you're like, this is my business. I know what's best. I know what I'm doing. Like I don't need your advice. But then,
Been there.
yeah, exactly. And then you look back and you think about it. And you're like, you're lying in bed at night and you're like, damn, I think they're right.
Yeah, I should have just listened.
Yeah, should have listened. Should have listened. I should go like apologize or something.
But I think those are the best lessons because they force you to put your ego aside, right? They
Yeah,
force
that's
you to
true.
reflect. You got to put your ego. Okay, they were right. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Let me go apologize and let me go make things right.
No, it's true. It's true. And you're like, and then everyone laughs about it, right? As long as you could own it,
For
as long as
sure.
you could own the mistake, as long as you
Sure.
could be like, listen, I'm better from it. I grew. Thank you for helping me out. Thank you for all of that. I
Right.
think there's a lot to be said from that. Yeah, but in terms of growth also. So I think that's something that a lot of new business owners do make a mistake about, right? Thinking that they can do it on their own, thinking that they're always right. For example, I once had a client that was telling me how their book should be done and how to do accounting, right? But they weren't an
I
accountant. They
love
weren't a
those.
trained
I
accountant.
love those
Yeah.
clients.
And I'm like, I'm telling you, man, this is not right. This is not how you should be doing it. Like, let me just do it the right way. He's like,
Right.
no, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. He's like, I took accounting in college. I'm like, congratulations. You know?
Like, why did you even call me?
Yeah, exactly. So like, I was like, fine, I'll do it your way. And, they had already a tax person that they were using. So then the tax person calls me. He's like, hey, why'd you do it this way? And I was like, I didn't want to. I fought him on it. They
But the
made
client's
me
always
do it.
right, right? The client's always
Yeah.
right.
Client's always right, except when they're not,
They're not.
I mean, in accounting, it's very black and white, It's not really like an opinion-based thing.
It's true.
It's math, right? Math is right or wrong, You can't ask math in its opinion.
Right.
Um,
Either it is or it isn't. The
Right.
Numbers never lie.
Exactly. So then the client had to end up going back and paying me to go back and redo the work that they told me was wrong, right? So like, at the end of the day, they learned a lesson too.
Could have saved you time. Could have saved him money.
Yeah. And they learned a lesson. Probably a big headache for him too, because he was probably pissing himself too,
For sure.
He was
But
just
hey,
like,
everybody learned.
exactly. Everybody learned. I learned that I have to stick up more and, put my foot down more when I know I'm right about a certain thing, right?
Right.
And that's also scary when you're a new business owner, talking back to your clients, telling them that they're wrong, telling them that that's not how it should be done, right? Because you don't want to lose that business. But at the end of the
But
day,
at
if
the
you know what
same
you're
time,
doing,
if they're
you're the
not going to
professional.
listen, you might as well go. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's that balance of it too, because you don't want to be dealing with someone where they're not going to listen. And they're
Right.
not going
I
to
know.
follow what you're doing. They're just going to waste time and money.
It's true. But he was a good guy, So I was like, so I felt bad too about it, I was like, I don't know what to do. He's a pain in the ass, but he's a really good guy. So, but
That's what makes you a good guy, Jordan.
I tried. Yeah. At the end of the day, we helped him out. We gave him a good rate. He apologized. So like he owned it, He was like, I'm sorry. He's like, you were right. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it all worked out. It was a little bit of a hustle at the end of tax time, right, to like redo all the books and everything. But I saw it coming anyway, so we were prepared.
You knew it was the only
Yeah,
path.
yeah. I knew. I was like, okay, we'll talk about this again in 6 months when I'm right, and you'll realize. But it's part of life. It happens. What are you going to do?
It does. It's like we're saying, right? It's part of these setbacks, these failures, these learning experiences, and learning from them and moving on.
Exactly. So everyone becomes stronger. Everyone becomes better. It's just, not dwelling in the negatives. Just having that mindset, that hustle mindset, I think is super important.
100%.
I would love to hear, Leo, from you, like what you tell your clients when you're coaching, what you tell new business owners also.
In regards to what? In regards to
so when they're starting out, when they're starting out, how to keep them motivated. Not to reverse the podcast.
100%. No, great question. So I start with faith. I start with your inner belief and your inner belief in God, in the universe, and whatnot. I think if you don't have a foundation that you believe that you can do it,
Right.
It's very hard to move forward. So that's really where I start, right? And then after that, I do a few things called finding out their level of discipline, finding out their level of organization, and finding out their level of execution, right? Their ability to execute. What I do with them is I assess each one of those based on who they are, based on where they are, and I create a plan for them to follow so they can move on to where they want to be. But I really start with belief, right? I try to ingrain into my clients that your belief in yourself and what you can do is what's going to determine how far you go. If you believe it to be true or not, you're right. And I think that understand, right, that mind shift is what I really try to portray to my clients, so they can really understand that it starts with their belief and what they believe they can do.
Interesting. Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. That's great because that's the why, right? That's the whole motivation factor right there.
Exactly. Because starting a business is very hard, right? Like we've been saying, there are very lonely days. There are days you don't know what to do. And if you don't have that strength to continue pushing through, you're going to quit. And you're probably going to fail, and you're going to lose money, and you won't be successful. So the belief that you can push through on your worst days is required.
Yeah, and that's a great way to put it. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people even have that, and maybe they lose it along the way.
Yes, which is once again tying back in, having the right coach or mentor to remind you, to guide you through your failures, and I guess reminding you is probably the best word of who you are and what you've accomplished, and what your why is and what you're doing to keep you going,
and why you're doing all of it. Yeah. That makes sense, right? And, just going back to the kids, right? I think having my son sort of reignited that flame, right? Because I started the business about 3-4 years ago. And, it was just another reason to keep pushing. Yeah, exactly. Another reason to keep pushing, right?
Sure.
Always have to keep pushing.
100%. I mean, look, what are we here for? We got this one beautiful life. Let's go explore. Let's go live. Let's go try. Let's go fail, right? Let's go create.
Exactly. As Drake once said, YOLO.
YOLO. I'm only here for a good time, not a long time.
Exactly. You got to make the most of it. You got to make the most of it. Work hard, play hard. But, we definitely work hard. This entrepreneur life, right? It's not for everyone. There's no 9 to 5, right? You're always on. You're always on. You're on vacation, but you're on.
More of a 9 to 9.
Yeah, it's more of a just 24/7. But that's part of it. That's part of the deal. Like you have freedom. You can turn off when you want, but you also really can't because you're still subject to your clients. You're still subject to your customers. Whatever you have, you're always answering to someone unless you're Jeff Bezos or something, right?
Right. I mean, even he's answering to something.
Yeah, even he has to answer to his board, to his, right? So like to shareholders.
Yeah,
So
for
everyone's
sure.
always answering to someone. Maybe Kim Jong Un doesn't answer to anyone.
Putin.
Putin, there you go, another one. But he might be answering to his people soon. Who knows?
Yeah, things are getting weird in the world today.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, no, like it is. It's a lonely path, but you have to keep
Very
focused. You have to keep talking to people. It's important to have a support system. Coaches are also,
it's a must.
coaches,
It's
mentors,
critical.
even friends and family, right? They
For
might
sure.
not be involved in the business. They might not know what's going on, but just having, someone to relax with at the end of the day is also really nice, right?
Right.
Just to not talk about work for a minute or two.
Correct. Go back to family world. Go back to your own inner circle, right? And just enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Exactly, exactly.
Very
Being like,
important also.
yeah,
Knowing when to shut the phone, detach, and relax.
exactly. Sometimes I put the phone in another room. I don't want to see it. I don't even want to see like something pop up, right? Because that's
No.
already a distraction right there.
If I'm home with the kids on Sundays, I barely answer my phone.
Yeah, so
I
do
leave my
I.
phone in my bedroom. I don't even see it.
hmm Yeah, same. You have to because it's too distracting.
Yeah.
I also don't want them to see me on my phone a lot. Like I don't want them to be like, oh, he's always working, he's always on his phone. Not that he even
Right.
knows what a phone is, but he sees the thing. He sees it. He sees it. He crawls to it.
Do you know that my 3-year-old has told me, Daddy, put the phone down? That has
Really?
happened. Yes.
Yeah, that probably
That
doesn't make you feel good.
does not make me feel good. Daddy, put the phone down. Come play with me.
Oh
I
man.
looked at him and said, no problem, right away. I put my phone down
Yeah.
and went to go play with him.
Yeah, you have to,
You
right?
have to.
You're like, what am I doing?
Exactly.
So no, it's really important. I get that. Even when he looks at me and I'm on my phone, I'm texting, right? And I feel bad because he's just like, why aren't you looking at me? I'm like, oh man, I don't know. You're right.
I think I think your son's at a good age that you can still get away with it. I think
Yeah,
after he turns 2, he'll start remembering and he'll start really coming at you. I think right now you're in
yeah.
the clear.
I know, I know. I just want to get into the practice of it.
That's
Like,
true. That's true. That's true. It's a good point.
um, because he's at daycare all day, so I don't really have that much time with him.
Right.
Just a couple of hours in the morning, a couple of hours in the evening, and then the weekend. So it's important that I make the most of the
Very.
time that I spend with him.
They're precious time. They really are.
Yeah,
And they grow so
exactly.
fast.
I know.
They grow
I
so fast.
know. It's great though. It is crazy to see it every month. He just turned 9 months, so we did a little photo shoot with him yesterday.
That's adorable.
Um, I know. It was. It was. I'm looking at my wife. She's laughing a little bit.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan, where can the people find you? Where's your website? What's your ID? Where can they reach out to you to work with you, to connect with you?
Yeah. So the people could find me. My website is probably the best place to start. It's
Just
Prime.
so you know, I'm going to put a link to it down below for
Oh,
everyone to click on.
perfect.
If you know.
I appreciate it. It's primeledger.com. There's a contact me through there. That's probably the best way to do it. Or you could always email me at jordan.goldman@prime-ledger.com. Leo, I know you have my email. So that's always the best way to contact me. I could send someone a calendar link and, we could just do it like right through there. But yeah, I would say that's probably the best way to reach out to me. I'm happy to hop on a call with anyone, usually a half hour, but if it goes a little over, it's not going to kill me. And we can just share, give advice. Let me learn about you. Let me learn about your business. Let's see if I could help. If I can't help personally, I most likely know someone who can, and always happy to point people in the right direction. Like I said, I'm not trying to be selfish. It's not a money grab. I genuinely want to help people succeed. And if I can't do that, then I want to point them in the best direction for success.
That's phenomenal. I'm going to give you the floor. If you have a message that you want to say to everybody, go for it.
Oh man, the floor. Okay, let's see.
Floor.
Um, oh, I wish I prepared something. I just wanted to,
I like putting
thank you
people
for
on the
having me.
spot.
No, I see that. I see that. Listen, I just want to, don't be scared, right? If someone has a dream, if someone wants to do something, go for it. Don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to ask for help. People genuinely, I think, want to help. Maybe for selfish reasons because it makes them feel good, but everyone does want to help. It's good for everyone. Your success is someone else's success. If you help someone become successful, it'll probably come back to you 10 times. So I think that's really the important message is you can't do it alone. Don't be scared to do it alone. And I think that's the message I want to share. And don't be scared to reach out to me.
I love that. Jordan, thank you so much for being a guest on the Leo Climaco podcast. You have shared
pleasure.
so much gems, so much knowledge. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Leo. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to going out in Queens together.
100%. I'll be there in January. I'll definitely let you know.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Leo.
Thank you, Jordan. Have a great day. Appreciate you.
You too.
This is the Leo Climaco podcast.